Have you ever noticed something weird about wooden ship model kits? Like, one is 1 to 60 scale, another is 1 to 96. And then suddenly there is a monster at 1 to 22 or even 1 to 18 scale that barely fits through a door. Meanwhile, plastic ship builders are over there with their perfect 1 to 700 or 1 to 350 scale fleets, all neat and matching. So what happened? Why don't wooden ship models have a universal scale? Well, get ready, because this story started way before plastic kits ever existed. Back in the day, the shipwright era, before model kits were even a thing, ship models were made by real shipbuilders, the same people who designed the full-size ships. These early models were called dockyard models, and they were built to show what a new warship would look like before a single plank was laid. But don't think of them as toys, not even close. These were masterpieces of craftsmanship carved by hand inside the Royal Dockyards centuries ago. Each one was a miniature version of a ship still on the drawing board, built in fine hardwoods showing every curve of the hull, every gun port, every elegant carving on the stern. Admirals would study these models like 3D blueprints. They used them to judge the design, plan battles, or approve a ship for construction, all without even leaving the Admiralty. And when the real ship was finally launched, her model often stayed behind, proudly displayed as a symbol of the Navy's skill and power. Back then, though every dockyard had its own way of doing things, each shipyard picked whatever scale fit their tools, their plans, or even just their workbench. Some used 1 to 48, others 1 to 64, or odd ones like 1 to 96. Nobody really cared, as long as it looked right and fit nicely on the admiral's desk. But then something changed. As shipbuilding became more scientific in the 1700s, consistency started to matter. The Royal Navy's master shipwrights needed a clear, simple way to shrink real measurements into miniature form. So they picked a scale that worked perfectly with the way ships were measured in feet and inches. 1 inch on the model equals 4 feet on the real ship. That's how the famous 1 to 48 scale was born. Big enough to show every plank, gun port, and carving in full detail, but small enough to carry into the Admiralties for inspection. At that scale, a 120-foot frigate became a 30-inch model, the perfect size for study, display, and approval. Soon every major dockyard in Britain adopted it. It became the official language of naval design, connecting the shipyard's workshop to the admiral's desk. And even today, when you see a museum-quality wooden model built at 1 to 48 scale, you're looking at the direct descendant of those original dockyard masterpieces. A scale born not from hobby modeling, but from the art and science of the real shipbuilders themselves. Even though 1 to 48 was once the standard in the Royal Dockyards, things changed the moment ship modeling became a hobby instead of a profession. When companies like Amati, Building Boats, and Artisanal Latina started making wooden kits in the mid-1900s, they weren't building for admirals anymore. They were building for us, for people's homes, shelves, and wallets. Now a model at 1 to 48 scale looks absolutely stunning, but is also massive. A full-rigged ship like HMS Victory or Cutty Sark at that scale can stretch over 4 feet long. Too big for most workbenches, too expensive to ship, and honestly, a bit intimidating for beginners. So that raised the question, what's the perfect scale for wooden ship kits? Should there be a universal standard, like a plastic ship models have, 1-700 or 1-350. But before we answer that, let's rewind a bit. Have you ever wondered why almost every plastic ship models you see, whether it's a Japanese battleship, or American carrier, or the mighty Bismarck, is either 1-700 or 1-350 scale? Who decided that? Did all the plastic model companies meet in some secret shipyard and make a deal? Well, kind of. The 1-700 scale became famous thanks to three Japanese giants, Tamiya, Asagawa, and Aoshima, back in the late 1960s and early 70s. They launched the legendary Waterline Series, a massive, coordinated line of World War II ships. Japanese, American, British, all built to the exact same scale. So why 1-700? Because it was just right. A giant like the battleship Yamato, over 260 meters long in real life, shrinks down to about 37 centimeters, perfect for your desk, your shelf, or even a full battle diorama if you're crazy enough to build one. For the first time, modelers could create entire naval fleets. Destroyers, cruisers, carriers, all perfectly in scale. It was naval history you could hold in your hands. Smaller kits also meant lower prices, simpler packaging, and easier builds, making them ideal for students and young hobbyists. In 1971, Tamiya, Hasegawa, Aoshima, and Fujimi made it official. They jointly standardized all their warship kits and 1-700 waterline scale. It was the first big cross-company agreement in model kit history, and it changed everything. That cooperation made the Waterline series explode in popularity, and soon 1-700 was recognized worldwide as the naval fleet scale. But then modelers wanted more detail, more realism, more parts to lose on the carpet. People started saying, I want deck planks, I want railings, I want every gun barrel. So once again, Tamiya raised the bar, this time with the new scale 1-350. It was about twice the size of 1-700 and 8 times the volume, which meant much more detail without becoming too big or too pricey. At that scale, you could really see the textures, the riggings, the bridge details. And still keeping the peace with your mom for not taking over the whole living room table. That's when the masterpieces like the Yamato, Bismarck, and the Missouri appeared. They looked like museum pieces, but made of plastic. Those kits set the gold standard for big-scale plastic warships. A standard still followed today by Trumpeter, Academy, and Mang. So why did the plastic modeling community accept these two scales? Well, 4 reasons. First, cross-compatibility. Modelers could mix ships from different brands knowing they match perfectly in scale, ideal for collectors and diorama builders. Second, community momentum. Once magazines, aftermarket parts, and photo-etched accessories followed those scales, the entire ecosystem locked in. Third, historical logic. 1-700 lets you compare fleets side by side. Yamato, Enterprise, Hood, all in accurate proportion. Fourth, display logic. 1-700 for entire fleets, 1-350 for hero ships and showpieces. Together, they became the universal language of plastic warship modeling, a tradition that's still going strong half a century later. But wait a second. We were talking about wooden ship models, not plastic ones. So why didn't the wooden kit makers even sit down, make a deal, and pick one universal scale like the plastic companies did? Well, the short answer is they never needed to. Wooden ship kits came from craft tradition, not industrial standardization. Unlike plastic kits, which were born from factory and molds, wooden models came from workshops and shipyards, where builders worked by hand, not by blueprint committees. Every model maker, especially in Europe, built ships based on what they had, the plans they could get, the tools and the timber they used, and the space they were building for. So instead of asking, what scale does everyone else use? They asked, what size fits this plank and my workbench? That's why you'd find wooden kits in all kinds of scales, 1 to 22, 1 to 50, 1 to 64, 1 to 96, even 1 to 200. Because every company designed their models independently, often decades apart. Now, here is another big reason. Wooden ship models covers a huge range of subjects, from tiny fishing boats to massive ships of the line. A small cutter or longboat might only be 10 meters long. If you built that at 1 to 100 scale, the finished model would be barely the size of your hand. But a giant like HMS Victory, nearly 70 meters long and 1 to 50 scale, becomes over 4 feet, already pushing the limit for most builders. So instead of sticking to one fixed scale, manufacturers aim for what feels right. A finished model that is about 70 to 120 centimeters long, around 2.5 to 4 feet. That size gives you a beautiful detail, good rigging space, and a display presence that feels impressive, without needing a museum-sized table. That's why wooden kits scale jumped all over the place. They're designed around display size, not scale math. And here's the fun part. Modelers don't really mind, because unlike plastic ship builders who create fleets and dioramas, wooden ship builders craft individually showpieces. A wooden ship isn't about forming a matching navy, it's about craftsmanship, authenticity, and beauty. Every model is its own artwork, like a wooden sculpture of history. No one is lining up a 1 to 75 Cutty Sark next to a 1 to 48 USS Constitution to check if they scale perfectly. They're each admired on their own for their detail, their rigging, and the story they tell. In the end, what really matters isn't the number on the box, it's how balanced, detailed, and majestic the finished ship looks on your shelf. So whether you're gluing planks onto a proud 1 to 48 frigate, or snapping tiny railings onto a sleek 1 to 700 cruiser, remember this: ship modeling isn't about numbers, it's about passion. It's about bringing history to life, one hull, one mast, one tiny detail at a time. If you are just starting your first wooden ship or adding another plastic warship to your fleet, don't stress about the right scale or the perfect build. What really matters is the joy of creating something with your own hands. The smell of the wood shavings, the quiet focus of rigging, the moment you step back and realize you built that. And hey, it's okay if your ship doesn't look like anyone else, or it takes a while to finish. Every builder starts somewhere. Every model, big or small, plastic or wood, teaches you something new and makes you a better modeler. So pick the ship that excites you, grab your tools, clear your bench, and set sail on your next project. Because every model you build is a little victory, another voyage in this amazing hobby that keeps us all sailing forward, one ship at a time.